Hello everyone, welcome to Silver Linings at Home. I'm Rachel and welcome to this classical Pilates session. In this session today, we're going to focus on a lunge stretch, which is great for opening the front of the hips, but also great for balance as well, and also releasing in the back. Nice stretch through the psoas. So this is actually a series, an exercise that can be done on some of the equipment on the reformer, but it's really nice to we've sort of translated it for the mat as well. So let's get started. You want to make sure you've got enough room around you to be able to stretch the arms and legs out. Just check there's no furniture in the way. Let's get started. So let's start actually with a little bit of a warm-up for the hips actually. So we're going to stand with the feet slightly apart, hip socket distance apart I would say. Let's reach the arms into the air, take an inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to round all the way over, let your head hang down. You can bend your knees if you need to touch your fingertips to the floor. Drop your head in and let's stretch the legs so you get a nice stretch through the back of the legs, through the hamstrings, and then just bend the knees and relax the knees. Let's do that again. We're going to stretch the legs up, like you're lifting your hips up to the ceiling, get a nice stretch in the back of the legs, and just bend the knees and release. And let's do one more. Lift the hips up. Now, if your flexibility allows, you might be able to hold on to your ankles, bend the elbows wide, and just pull yourself in to get a nice stretch there. Lift the navel away from your thighs so you get a bit of support from the abdominal muscles. And then you can bend the knees and just roll yourself all the way up to standing, rolling the shoulders away from your neck. So that was a bit of a hamstring stretch. Let's go back onto the mat now. And we'll stand with the heels together, toes apart. You feel that nice length through the back of your body. Let's bring the arms in front of your chest. I want to cross one leg behind the other, bend your knees, and with control lower yourself onto the mat. So let's lie all the way down, right at the very end there, just so you're not using your hands. You see if you can stick your bottom out, and then lie all the way down from there. So once you're on the mat, center yourself. You can lift your head and shoulders up and just have a little look on the mat. Sometimes when you lie down, it tends to be a bit of a diagonal line. So make sure you're right down the center of your mat. And then we'll move the feet a bit further away from your hips so the pelvis can just release onto the mat. And let's press the feet, knees and thighs together so you find a hug of the midline, pulling everything into the center. And then we're going to separate the feet, hip socket distance apart. So to do this, we're going to turn out the toes, separate the heels and the knees so that the feet line up with the hip sockets. That way you can ground the pelvis, ground the lower body. Take a deep breath in and then exhale all the air out. Let's take another nice deep breath in and exhale all the air out. And at the end of the breath, find that feeling of pulling the abdominal muscles in and up. So if you want, you can put your hands onto the abdominals. If you locate your belly button, and then just below the belly button, you can place your hands. And a little bit like your hands were sort of an ice cream scoop. You're kind of pulling in and up. And with that feeling of in and up, it's like you're pulling your navel away from your hands. So that you actually get longer in your waist as you do that. Now, you have to watch, folks, that as you're pulling in and up, that the pelvis hasn't tilted. So the pelvis has to stay stable. We're stabilizing the spine and then finding that feeling of the abdominal muscles pulling in and up from there. So the movement might not be as big as if you were moving the pelvis. If you're moving the pelvis, it's more this. So we don't want to change anything in the back here. We want to keep the back and the pelvis stable and just find that feeling of in and up with the abdominal muscles. So actually it feels like you get very long in your waist. Now keeping that feeling of in and up, let's bend the right knee into your chest and think of the abdominals pulling in and up to lift the left leg to meet it. Then we're going to bring the legs into a tabletop position. So your knees directly above your hips. And as you're reaching the legs, this is a position of strength. You have to use the abdominal muscles to hold the legs here. And then from here, we're going to start to lower the right leg. Maybe you change your mind halfway and pull the leg back up again. Now we're going to lower the left leg halfway to the mat and pull it right back up. So a little lower with the right leg and pull it up. And the left leg and pull it up. So you're trying to keep the pelvis and the abdominals nice and still and steady as you're lowering the legs. So you're keeping that feeling of in and up. If I let go, what happens is as I lower the leg, the pelvis tilts and my back arches. So to keep that connection to the abdominals. Let's do one more time on the right, one more time on the left. Now we can hug the knees into the chest, just pull the knees in, and now the pelvis will lift a little off the mat just to get a stretch in the lower back. And then we'll bring the legs back into our tabletop position, so you anchor the pelvis. We're going to curl the head, neck and shoulders up off the mat, ready for the 100. To lift the arms above the height of your hips. And as you're reaching forwards, imagine sparks shooting through your fingers. You're reaching so long. Just the tips of the shoulder blades touching the mat. Now we're going to vigorously pump the arms up and down. It's a press, press, press. If I slow this down to mid-thigh, and back above the hips. That's our range. Press, press, press. We're breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 pumps of the arms to inhale and 5 to exhale. So this exercise, the 100, ideally we're doing 10 big breaths, which makes for 100 pumps of the arms. Big exhale. And this is our warm-up exercise. It's just to generate some energy and oxygenate the body. Big breath in for 5 pumps of the arms, a big exhale for 5 pumps of the arms. Inhaling and exhaling. Now if you want a challenge, you can stretch the legs out to 45 degrees, keep the abs pulling in and up, or keep your tabletop position. Let's do one more big breath here, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's bend the knees and lower your head onto the mat. Just look to the right. And look to the left just to release the neck. Let's take hold of the back of the thighs. We're going to rock up to a seated position for our half roll down into a full roll down today. So you can always stay with the half roll down. I'll give a more introductory part of the movement and then I'll give a more advanced part of the movement. And you can always stay with the more introductory part of the movement. So here's our half roll down. Now put your hands by your hips, lift your hips up, just tuck your tailbone underneath you. So you're sitting at the back of your sits bones. You have a sort of curve. Let's take hold of the sides of the knees. We're going to lift the elbows and then the feeling of pulling the abdominals in and up. And we're going to curve the upper back and the head over the top. So from the top of your head to your tailbone, you have like a C shape. Elbows are lifted and slide the shoulders away from your neck. Now I'm going to take that whole shape, we're going to roll back until maybe you're trying to put your waistband on the mat and exhale and round to pull up. Or maybe it's the sacrum towards the mat. You're rounding back as long as you can keep your feet firmly anchored on the floor. If you go back too far, the feet start to lift. So imagine your feet were in concrete. You don't want to move the feet, so you've got to keep them anchored on the mat as you round back. Use the abdominal muscles to come in and up. Now I want to go back a little further to the tips of the shoulder blades. So as you round back, we're going to walk your hands down your thighs and get the tips of the shoulder blades to touch. Now walk your hands back up, lift the shoulders and lift the lower back. And remember, you can always stay with the half roll down just to the lower back. So again, we're progressing it, we're advancing it. So lower back first, tips of the shoulder blades, lift the tips of the shoulder blades and roll right back up. Now I'm going to go all the way into the mat. So keep the legs pressing together, keep the feet anchored. You're rolling all the way down, lower back, shoulder blades, and let's stretch the arms into the ceiling as your head touches. And take an inhale. The abs are still pulling in and up here. So as you lower down, you haven't released everything. You want to keep the connection. Then lift your head and shoulders back up again. Take hold of the back of your thighs. Now get a good grip here and see if you can lift a couple more vertebrae off the mat and then lower back into the mat. So we're really getting the upper part of the abdominal wall to work here. So let's take an inhale again. Lift your head and shoulders up. Take hold of the back of your thighs. Use your hands and see if you can lift a couple more vertebrae. Now for those of you, if it's available to it, you can come all the way up and over the legs, and then we'll roll back into the mat again, pressing the legs together. Or you just come up to where you can. So if you're coming all the way up, great, take an inhale, lift your head and shoulders, grab the back of your thighs, roll all the way up. If that's going well, maybe you can try without your hands. Let's roll it into the mat, stretch the arms, inhale, lift your head, reach forwards, get the weight of your head over your body, that helps the movement, and up and over. Let's roll back into the mat, let's do one more here. Stretch the arms up, inhale, exhale, and over the top, inhale, rock back, and exhale to roll into the mat. Our next exercise is the one leg circle. So let's bend the right knee into your chest. You can just hold on to the knee, give that leg a little stretch, and let's stretch the leg into the air and just a hamstring stretch. So you can pull the leg in, and then bring the leg into the air. Now the other leg, it can be bent, which is an easier position in a way to keep the hips still, so it's more stable. Or for more of a challenge, you can do a straight leg. So I'm going to keep my legs straight for this first bit, then I'll also show the bent leg version. And then the other leg in the air, again, can be straight if your flexibility allows, or soften the knee. Either way, you want your heel lined up over your hip socket. So that's where the thigh bone can sit nice and deep in the socket. I'll show the straight leg version. We're going to cross the leg over, circle the leg around and back up. Cross the leg over, massaging the hip joint now. We're loosening and mobilizing the hip joint. Let's take 2 more here and 1 more, and then we're reversing it now. So a little open, around and it's up, around and it's up. Now if I was doing the bent leg version, it would look like this. Around and it's up, around and it's up. 2 more and 1 more. Now we'll bend that knee in, place your foot onto the mat. So wherever the other leg is, you want to match it. So both legs are hugging together. Maybe the legs are straight and hugging together. Let's bend the other knee in. Give it a stretch. Let's reach the leg in the air. Just a little hamstring stretch. Stretch the back of the leg. And then bring the leg back up. Remember the heel over the hip socket. So either modified bent leg version, a little easier, or more of a challenging straight leg version if your flexibility allows. Then cross the leg over, circle the leg around and up. Cross it over, around and up. You're doing everything you can to keep your hips still on the mat. So you have to really stabilize from your center to do that. And let's do 1 more. And now we're reversing it. So remember the bent leg version looks like this, around and it's up, around and it's up. So you're pressing the arms, pressing the shoulder blades. Whole body is working to stabilize. Let's do 2 more this way, around and up, around and up. Now we're going to bend that knee in. Let's add the other leg to it. We're going to curl the head and shoulders up, rock up for rolling like a ball. So I'm going to take hold of the sides of the knees first of all, lift the elbows and make a round back shape, pulling the navel away from your thighs. Then lift your feet up off the mat and just catch the balance. So I'm balancing actually just behind my sits bones. And you can see how far back can you go without rocking all the way onto the mat. Oh, there's my edge. And then you rock back up again. So just see, where can you go? You want to keep your heels close in. If you kick the legs out, then really what that's doing, that's kind of the legs bringing you back up. So you want to keep the legs close in towards you. And as you rock back, you're just using really the abdominal muscles to find the balance. And you see where the edge is. So if I go back, there I found my edge, and I roll back. So it's not tragic if you find your edge. You can just see how far back can you rock before you tip over the edge. So if you can get to your edge, oh, there it is, and then come right back up again. So a little rock back, find your edge. Where is that edge? And then right back up again. Now find your edge, pull the abdominals back so much they take you back on the mat and they bring you right back up again. So you pull back to rock back and they bring you right back up. So really you're initiating this movement with the abdominal muscles rather than letting the head take you back. So what that would look like is the head taking you back and the legs kicking out to bring you back up. And we want to connect into the center here. Okay? So rock back, rock up, and let's take 2 more here. And 1 more, massaging your back. And rock it all the way back up. Now let's put the feet down flat onto the mat, and our transition is actually a roll. So you're going to drop your head and you're going to do a roll down into the mat all the way down. So even our transitions from one exercise to the other are part of the flow, part of the abdominal work. Let's bend the knees into your chest for our abdominal series. Today we're going to do single leg stretch, double leg stretch and scissors. So 3 in the whole series of 5. I'm going to curl the head and shoulders up off the mat. I'm going to put the left hand on the right knee. So here's a little bit of detail today. Left hand to right knee, and not right on the kneecap itself, it's just below the knee. And the other hand is going to hold on to your ankle. So this is our classic position of this exercise. And you're using your hands to pull the knee in, but also to steer the leg straight. So just check that the foot isn't swinging into the midline. You can line your hip, knee and ankle all the way to your shoulder. The other leg, let's reach it out to 45 degrees. We're going to change leg now. Here's the hand change. As you switch around, you've got left hand to your knee, right hand to right ankle, and pull the leg in and stretch. Change leg. Hold on. So it's got right hand to right ankle, change, left hand to left ankle, change, right hand to right ankle, change, left hand to left ankle. So you see I'm reaching around the outside to pull in, reaching around to pull back in again. Let's pick up our flow now. We're pulling it in, and it's in. And don't worry too much about the hands here. Just keep the flow going. Let's take 3 more, 3, 2 more, 2, 1 more, and 1. Nicely done. Bend the knees in and lower your head onto the mat. Our next exercise is double leg stretch. So we're going to curl the head and shoulders back up off the mat again. Get the tips of the shoulder blades to touch. Now we're going to do the arm part first of all. We're going to reach the arms up, and the challenge as you reach the arms up is to stay up in your curl here. Then the arms circle around, they hold the shins and pull in. Let's do one more with the arms. Reach up, stay up in your curl, circle around and pull in. Now let's do the legs. We're going to stretch the legs out to 45 degrees, bend the knees and pull in. Let's do that again, just the legs and pull in. Let's add the two together. We're going to stretch the arms and legs, bend and pull the knees in. Stay up in your curl, use your hands and pull your knees in. Inhale, exhale. One more, inhale, exhale, lower your head. Look to the right and left to release the neck. Now our next exercise is scissors, and this is actually for our flexibility, so working a stretch in the back of the leg. And to curl the head and shoulders up off the mat and reach the legs up to the ceiling. Now everyone's different on this exercise, depends on your flexibility. So if the back of the legs is tight, your exercise is going to look like this. You're going to take hold of the back of the thigh below your knee, push your thigh into your hands to see if you can get the back of the leg to straighten. So you get a stretch. The other leg is reaching out to 45 degrees. Now as you change leg, try to keep that length as you grab the back of the knee, below the knee and stretch. So this will be your work. Hold it, stretch it. Hold it, stretch it. If your flexibility allows, however, your exercise is going to look like this. Hold above the knee and a pull, 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 pull. You're going to anchor the hips on the mat. So check that your bottom isn't lifting. Keep the pelvis stable. Pull, 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 pull. Let's do one more time, whichever version you're doing. Pull, 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 pull. Bend the knees and lower your head. Look to the right and look to the left. Let's rock up to a seated position for spine stretch forwards. We're going to open the legs out. And let's do Joseph Pilates' original version on this one. So there are two versions really of this. One is to have the arms here. And Joe's original version, Joe Pilates' original version, it's actually the hands on the mat, and I quite like this version. It's really nice to open the lower back. So again, depending on your flexibility here, if you can sit with the legs straight out in front of you and your back beautifully straight, go for that version. If the hamstrings are a little tight here and sitting with the legs straight causes you to slouch a little bit, you're going to bend your knees, so release the hamstrings, and then lift your spine nice and tall. Because I don't really mind if the legs are straight on this one. This one is called spine stretch forwards, so we're working with the back and the spine here. I'll do the bent leg version and I'll do the straight leg version. So you inhale, sit tall. You can use your fingertips to give you a little lift. And then you start with the top of your head, you drop your head forwards, you slide your hands out along the mat to the edge of the mat, drop your head and round the spine over. Pull the navel in and up away from your thighs. So you're sort of spreading the back muscles away from your spine. Get a nice stretch, spine stretch forwards. And then you roll back up again, starting at the base of your spine, restacking the vertebra, one on top of the other, and the head is the last thing to come up. Here's the straight leg version. Take an inhale, drop your head, reach forwards, and you round the spine over. Now, for those of you who are very flexible, it's quite easy to drop on the legs here. So your work is not to fall, your work is to really get the lift, have the strength not to drop, but the strength to hold yourself up in this position. And then you roll it all the way back up and sit nice and tall. Let's do it again. Take an inhale, drop your head, reach forward. So whichever version you're doing, bent legs or straight legs, lift the navel in and up away from your thighs. Just trying to get the head down, the navel lifted, and then roll it all the way back up again and lift tall. Let's do one more. Inhale. Drop your head, reach forwards, and exhale as you round the spine over. Maybe on this one, you can reach a little further. Remember, if you're flexible, your work is not to flop here, it's to get the lift, and then roll it all the way back up again, and lift up nice and tall. Now I'm going to press the legs together, reach out over the length of the legs. So again, a bit of a stretch in the back of the legs as you reach forwards. And I'm going to roll back into the mat. So as you roll back, I'm going to start to roll. Press the legs together, put your hands on the mat, get a little bit of support here so you can get your lower back on the mat. On our transition, and then you roll it all the way into the mat. Next exercise is the corkscrew. So we're going to bend the knees into your chest, make a diamond shape with your hands, thumb and index finger together. We're going to lift the hips up and just place that underneath your hips so your fingers are sticking out a little bit from your seat. And stretch the legs into the air. We're going to turn the toes out and soften the knees. So if you were to look at the shape in between the legs, it's like a very long diamond shape, like a sort of harlequin diamond shape. And have your heels lined up over your hips. Now we're going to do a preparation for the full corkscrew where the hips are lifting off the mat in the movement. So our preparation for that, to get the strength to do that eventually, we're going to lower the legs a little forwards. We're going to draw the legs towards you, lift your hips up off your hands and lower your hips back into your hands. So a little lower forwards, draw the legs towards you, lift and lower. And see if you can get both parts of this movement, so the lifting up and the control to lower. And that takes quite a lot of strength, not just to kind of drop onto your hands. So you lift and control the lowering. Lift, control the lowering. So again, getting both parts, the lifting up and the lowering down. Really good for the lower part of the abdominal muscles. All right, let's center the legs now. And if your flexibility allows, you can straighten the legs now or keep that diamond shape. I'm going to pull the feet in towards you. We're going to circle the legs to the right, circle them forwards around to the left and center. Heels are staying glued together. So you're inhaling the first half and exhaling the legs back up again. Draw a circle on the ceiling around and center, a little pull in, around. Now we can add our hip lift into here. So as the legs come in, little lift of the hips, lower and draw your circle again. Here's the abs in and up when the legs are forwards, pull in and lift. So you're adding in, you're building up to be able to eventually do the full corkscrew where your legs are going all the way back behind you, making a big circle. Now let's do one more, around, pull in, lift, and lower the hips. Let's take the hands out, take hold of the back of your thighs, rock yourself up. Let's open the arms out for the saw. Now leg spine stretched forwards. If the hamstrings are tight, you will bend the knees a little bit or even sit upon some height just to take the pressure off the hamstrings, because we're concerned about the back sitting nice and tall here rather than having the straight legs. So soften the knees if you need to. If your flexibility allows, by all means straighten the legs. Toes and knees pointing up to the ceiling though. Especially if you're flexible, it's easy to let the legs flop out to the side. To contain that, get the inner thighs working. Now we're lifting up nice and tall. We're going to twist to the right. We're going to reach across with the left hand. The back hand does an undercurve and you round the spine over. Anchor the opposite hip on the mat. So as I'm reaching to the right, I'm pulling the left hip down and then roll it all the way back up again and come center. Now a twist to the left, drop your head, reach forwards, lift the navel away from your thighs, and I'm anchoring the opposite hip. And then roll it all the way back up again. Let's twist to the right, reach across. If I'm doing bent legs, I'm over here, reaching 3, 2, 1. As you sit tall, this is the work to come all the way up, to work the spinal muscles to come all the way from here, right up to here. Let's twist to the left, drop your head and reach 3, 2, 1. Now you've got to come all the way up and center. Let's do it one more time. Twist to the right, reach at 3, 2, 1. We've got to get all the way up and center. Twist to the left, reach at 3, 2, 1. All the way up and back into the center. Let's lie down on your stomach for our swan prep. Now for swan prep today, we're going to line the fingertips with the top of the shoulders. So the elbows, they're kind of hugging in towards the side ribs. We have all 10 toes on the mat. So long legs reaching back behind you. And you lightly anchor the hips and have a little lift of the navel. So with all 10 toes, you can feel even the little toe on the mat here. So check that the toes and the feet have not done a sort of sickle here, or the legs are not rolling out to the side on the tops of the feet. It's a bit of a stretch on the tops of the feet actually for this one. Roll the shoulders away from your neck and then lift up the forehead, collarbones, lift the navel off the mat and then hover your hands off the mat. We're holding that for 3, for 2, for 1, and then lower everything into the mat. Let's do that again. Roll the shoulders. Now lifting up the forehead, collarbones, breastbone, lift the navel and the hands. That little lift of the navel helps to keep the lower back supported while we work on strengthening the upper back here. and lengthen to lower. Really good actually if you're working at a desk all day to do a lot of this extension work. So roll the shoulders again, lifting up the forehead, collarbones, navel, hover the hands off, hold, hold, hold. Now stay up, place your hands on the mat and using your hands to pull your body forward, and then maybe you can press up a little higher. So your elbows make a 90-degree bend in the elbow. And then we're going to pull yourself long out of your lower back. That little lift to the navel. Let's go back to our hover position and float the rest of the way. Let's do that again. So to roll the shoulders, lift your forehead, collarbone, sternum, lift the navel and hover. So we're working strength in the back. Elbows are hugging in, so you can feel the shoulder blades on your back here. Now I'm going to take a little stretch, a little further. Place the hands and use your hands to pull your body forwards. So you see what I'm doing there, making space in the lower back, and then press yourself up a little higher till maybe a 90-degree bend in the elbows. And then pull yourself long out of the lower back again. That little lift to the navel to support the back as you go back into your hover. And float the rest of the way. Let's do one more of those. Roll the shoulders, lift and hover, take your hands off. Here's our strength part. Keep that little lift to the navel. Place your hands and pull yourself forward like an airplane going along a runway, going forwards to take off. And then pulling yourself long out of the lower back to lower. Little lift to the navel as you go back into your hover position. And float the rest of the way. Let's make a pillow with your hands now. And you can either keep the legs parallel apart or heels together, toes a little bit apart, and lift both legs off the mat. Hold, 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 and reach the legs away to lower. And this is not about high legs. This is about a very long reach. So we're doing the upper body earlier, pulling the upper body forwards and up. Now we're doing the lower body, pulling the lower body long and away. So reach the legs out to lift the legs and reach the legs out to lower. And then you get all that space in the lower back. Reach the legs out to lift the legs and reach the legs out to lower. Let's do one more of these. Reach the legs away to lift them and reach the legs out to lower. Now I'm going to press the legs together, bend the elbows and prop yourself up onto your forearms for single leg kicks. So you have your elbow directly below your shoulder. You're going to lightly press the fist and that feeling of pulling yourself forwards and up again. So with my hands, it's like I'm trying to drag myself forwards. So if I'm trying to bring the ribs forwards of my arms. So I've got all that length through my lower back. Then I'm going to bend the right knee and kick my heel to your seat. Kick, kick, straighten the leg. Left, left, here's the reach of the leg. Kick, kick, here's the reach of the leg. And as the leg is reaching, the abs are pulling in and up. Kick, kick, in and up to reach. Kick, kick, in and up to reach. Kick, kick. Keep the upper body lifting. Oh, it's very easy to sink here. I know it is. Keep pressing and lifting. Keep the lift of the upper body. That's the challenge. Let's go a little quicker now. Kick, kick, and switch mid-air. Kick, 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 kick. Kick, kick, keep the lift in the upper body, 2 more, and it's 2, last one, and it's 1, and then lower flat onto the mat. Just rock your hips from side to side to release the lower back. And then we'll turn onto your back for shoulder bridge. So we're going to lie down, bend the knees, have a little bit of a tighter bend in the knees so that you could tap your heels with your fingertips. Check that the feet are again hip socket distance apart so the knees don't have to be together on this one. A little bit of space between your feet. The arms are actively long and reaching, and then we're going to roll the hips up off the mat. So lower back, middle back, upper back, shoulders, and then as you roll into the mat, soften the upper back, middle back, lower back, and tailbone. And this exercise is actually nice to do after you've done the extension work because it's a nice counter release to the lower back. So you start a little curl of the tailbone. Think of the knees actually reaching long. It's like someone was pulling the knees forwards and the spine rolls up into the gaps. You're in a long line here. And then as you roll down, you're softening your ribs, softening the middle back. Here's that nice release in the lower back as you roll all the way into the mat. Let's do one more here. and roll it all the way up. Now we'll stay up on this one, and we're going to lift the right leg up off the mat and bend the right knee into your chest. You're going to keep the hips up. Stretch the right leg straight up to the ceiling with the hips up. We're going to flex the foot, pull the leg long in line with your opposite knee, point the toe and lift it back up again. Flex, pull it to the opposite knee, point and lift it up. Let's do one more. Flex, pull it long, point and lift it up. You're going to bend the knee into your chest, place the foot right back into its footprint, and we keep the hips up, ready for the second side. We're going to bend the other knee into your chest, stretch the leg in the air. Now we're going to flex the foot, pull it in line with the opposite knees. You have to keep the hips up here, point the toes and lift the leg. Flex, pull it long, point and pull it back up. Let's do one more. Pull it long, point, lift the leg up, bend the knee into your chest, place the foot back into its footprint, check both hips are lifted, and then we're rolling upper back, middle back, lower back. Get that nice opening in the lower back all the way into the mat. Let's hug the knees into your chest. Just give the knees a little pull, just as an extra bonus stretch in the lower back. And then we're going to rock up and we'll turn onto your side for side kick series. So using the edge of your mat as your alignment guide, you have your elbow, armpit, waist, hip and knee, and hip all on the back. And then we're going to bring the feet forwards. So you have an angle in your body and you can feel where the back of the mat is. Just check everything is on the back there, especially the waist. Quite easy to overarch the back in this position. So check that your waist is on the edge of the mat. We're going to bring the top hand in front of the sternum like a bolster, and this hand behind your head, that's pulling the neck long. So rather than just on the side of your face and kind of dropping into it, a feeling of encouraging length in the neck. The crown of your head is reaching out. Let's lift up the top leg for front and back and kick the leg forwards 1, go a little higher on 2, and press and open the hip back on 3. I'm going to stay there and you can just find that length through the front of your thigh as the leg goes back. Kick the leg forwards 1 and 2, and let's press the leg back, and you check that the leg hasn't dropped or lifted to the back. And as you reach the leg back, you have the abs pulling in and up in the opposite direction. So it's a really nice opening through the front of your hip. Kick forwards 1, 2, press back and get that opening through the front of the hip. Let's go a little quicker now. It's a kick, kick, get to the opening back. It's a kick, kick, reach it, open back. 2 more here. Open it back. Last one, kick, kick, reach it open and bring it back. Now we're going to rotate the top leg out, kick the leg in the air, bend the knee and place the foot onto the mat in front of you. And this position, you're trying to get the knee up to the ceiling and keep the hips stacked. It's a trickier position, this one. If you feel like your foot is sliding, you can hold on to it with this free hand here. If the foot stays, just keep your hand where it is. Let's lift the bottom leg up and we'll take little pulses with the bottom leg up, 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 the very top of your inner thigh doing the work. You can forget you have a foot here. And let's do a little circles here. We're circling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse those, the very top of the inner thigh doing the work. 2 and 1, and lower the legs. Let's bring the legs together and pulling the abs in and up. Let's lift both legs off the mat. Hold, 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 and lower both legs. All right, let's set up for the second side. So again, using your mat as your alignment guide, elbow, armpit, waist and hip on the back, legs forwards, and bring the top hand in front of your sternum. So you're aligning the shoulders, the ribs and the hips. And remember that long neck. I'm going to pick up the top leg and kick it forwards. 1, 2. Let's press the leg back. I'm going to pause to the back here. So in this position to the back, what tends to happen is because the weight of the leg is pulling you back, you tend to roll back. So you have to keep the bottom leg anchored and find the abs in and up. So this is the support to that long leg swinging back. Then you can get a really good open and stretch through the front of the hip. Kick forwards 1, 2, and reach the leg back to get the opening in your hip. Let's take one more. Like this, reach it back to get the opening, find that opposition of in and up. Now let's pick up our flow. It's a kick, kick, and reach it to the back. It's a kick, kick, reach it to the back. Last one, reach it to the back and bring the legs together. Now I'm going to rotate the top leg out, kick the leg in the air, bend the knee and place your foot onto the mat in front of you. And again, if that foot is sliding, you can always hold on to it and you work to get the knee up to the ceiling and the hips stacked. Now we're going to lift the bottom leg up, up and lower. Lift the bottom leg. I want to take little pulses now. Up, 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 up. The very top of the inner thigh, doing the work. And let's take our circles here. We're circling up 5, up 4, up 3, up 2, up 1. Reverse it. You resist the temptation to look at the foot, reaching through the crown of your head. Last one here. And lower the leg into the mat. All right, let's turn onto your back for teaser. I'm going to do a one-legged teaser today. So you lie down on your back with a long bend in the knees, so your feet are a little further forwards away from you. If the knees are too bent, it's actually very hard to come up into teaser position. So you want your feet a little further away, press the legs together. And we're going to lift the right leg up off the mat, but keep the knees hugging. So we've got the inner thighs working to hold the legs together. Let's stretch the arms in the air, take an inhale. You're going to lift your head and shoulders up off the mat, reach the arms forwards, take hold of the back of your thighs. And like we had at the beginning with our roll, want to lift, first of all, the upper part of the abs, climb your hands up your thighs, then reach your fingertips up to your toes for our teaser, pull the abs back. Now to roll back into the mat, chin to chest, take hold of the back of your thighs. So you can use your hands here. You walk your hands down your thighs to lay your spine back out onto the mat again. Stretch the arms in the air, take an inhale. Lift your head and shoulders up. Now you reach forwards to make it a little more challenging. You can roll it all the way up. Find your teaser. And as you roll into the mat, maybe try without the hands as you roll. So using the strength of the abs to control your descent as you roll into the mat. Let's do our third one. Take an inhale. Lift your head and shoulders up. Now if you want to challenge, see if you can roll up without the hands. All the way up to your toes, reaching forwards. You've got to anchor the opposite foot here. So this leg has to really press as you roll back into the mat. Let's change leg. Let's stretch the other leg in the air. Take an inhale. Lift your head and shoulders up, reach forwards. Now you can use your hands. Give yourself a little pull, climb up your legs, reach up to your teaser. Chin to chest, and as you roll down, you can use your hands to control the roll into the mat. Let's take an inhale. Our second one, inhale. Lift your head and shoulders up, hold the back of your thighs, use your hands to come up. Then as a challenge, as you roll into the mat, so you can roll without the hands. So it's all muscles to roll. And then on your third one, take an inhale, lift your head and shoulders up, reach forwards, so you can roll up without the hands. Remember, you can always use your hands if you need to. That there is an option. And then chin to chest, roll it all the way back into the mat. Nice work, everyone. Nice work, silver liners there for your teasers. Let's pull the knees into your chest. And let's turn onto your side for side bend prep. So you're going to lie on your side. You're going to use the center of your mat as your alignment guide. So on the center, you have your elbow, you have your hip bone, and you flex your feet. They're splitting that center line, so your heels and toes either side of it. And you're going to take your top hand and place it on the bottom ribs, and use your top hand to manually lift the bottom ribs off the mat. So what I'm doing here, actually, if I turn with my back to the camera, as I'm kneeling down on the side, it's easy to let this whole side kind of hang through and open. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my hand and lifting the ribs up off the mat. So you see the shoulder blade can actually connect onto your back. So this is very stable. If this arm is too far out and open, it can be a lot in the top of the shoulder, which doesn't feel so great. So we want to get the work right underneath here in the shoulder blade. So once you lie down, just check that you have your elbow directly below your shoulder. Again, if the arm is too far out, it's hard to get the connection into the shoulder blade. You're going to take your top hand under the bottom ribs, and you're going to manually lift the ribs up. So you're lifting off the mat. Let's bring the top hand along the side seam here, and then you think of pressing the arm, lifting the hips up off the mat, and we're holding that for 3, for 2, for 1, and with control, lower back into the mat. Let's do one more time on this side. So you're going to start by lifting the ribs so that gets that shoulder blade to connect onto your back, and then press to come up. And we're holding that for 3, for 2, for 1, and so you don't fall down. You control the roll into the mat. Let's do the other side. So you set yourself up. You have your elbow directly below your shoulder, your hip, your feet on that sideline. Let's take the top hand, and just as a little reminder, I'm going to place that underneath the ribs and pull. Use your hand to pull the ribs up off the mat and to get the shoulder blade to connect onto your back. And then you can place your hand alongside your side seam, press and lift yourself up. And let's hold that for 3, for 2, for 1, and with control, lower back onto the mat. So the feeling with this elbow is like you're trying to scrub the elbow in towards you. Let's do one more, press and lift. We're holding that for 3, for 2, for 1, and lower back into the mat. Now let's come on to all fours for our lunge. So we've worked a little bit in the session actually to stretch the hamstrings and open the front of the hip. So we're going to put that together in this next little bit here. So you're going to have your hands directly below your shoulders, your knees directly below your hips, and with the abdominal muscles pulling in and up, we're going to step one leg back into a plank position, push the mat away with your hands, and step the other leg back to meet it. We're going to press the legs together. Now we're going to lift the right foot off the mat. We're going to bend the knee and you kind of swing the leg forwards. It's like you're trying to step your foot in between your hands, and it might take a couple of times. 1, maybe a little extra step, 2, to get the position. So you're in a lunge. And in this lunge position, you're going to reach up, stretch the back of the knee, and then we're going to take, so if you've got your right leg forwards, you're going to take your right hand behind your back and just feel where your sacrum is, that bony triangle at the base of the spine. And what you're trying to do is steer your sacrum level and straight. So what tends to happen in this position is the hip tends to lift and this is a little out. So you can use your hand to steer that straight. And then you lower your back knee onto the mat. So without making any adjustment of the foot. And your hand on your sacrum is there just to feel, to check that the sacrum stays nice and still. So keeping the sacrum still, ideally you don't want your hips lifting and lowering here. You're going to lift the back knee and press through the back heel to get a big stretch and opening through the front of the thigh. And then gently lower and touch the knee down. So your hand is here just to check that the hips are not moving at all. So I'm not letting my hips lift up. So lifting just the back knee, press the back leg, and the back leg may or may not straighten. And as you press through the back leg, opening and stretching the front of the thigh, and then bend and lower. Let's do one more here. So lifting the back knee, stretch it long. Think of the crown of the head reaching forwards, the abs pulling in and up. And then bend the knee and touch the knee down. Now we're going to place both hands back onto the mat. We're going to lift the back knee and step back into a plank position. Push the mat away. Now we're going to step the other leg forwards. So maybe you can just do it in one swing, or maybe you have to do a couple of times to step the leg forwards. And then we're going to lower the back knee onto the mat. So now if you've got your left leg forwards, you're going to take your left hand behind your back and place that onto your sacrum, onto your hips, and you can just feel back there what's going on. And then keeping that nice and steady, I'm going to lift the back knee off the mat, kind of pressing through the back heel as you reach the crown of your head forwards and pull the abs in and up, and then gently lower the knee back onto the mat. Again, try not to crash the knee down, and then lift the leg, stretch it out. And again, the back leg may or may not straighten. So you reach the leg out, stretch through the front of the hip, and then bend the knee and lower the knee gently into the mat. Let's do one more here, keeping the hips as steady as you can. So reaching the leg out and bend the knee back onto the mat again. Now we're going to place both hands back onto the mat, straighten the back leg, lift the navel in and up off your thighs, step both legs back into a plank position. And then we're going to lift the hips up to the ceiling and walk your hands towards your feet. 1, 2, let's walk your feet. Walk your feet towards your hands. Let's walk your hands towards your feet. 3, 4. You're going to drop your head, just relax the neck, lift the navel, and then we're going to roll all the way up to standing. Let's roll the shoulders back and down, roll them back and down, roll them back and down. And let's come to stand at the side. I'll do a little breathing, standing breathing to finish. So I'm going to reach the arms up on a high diagonal, heels together, toes apart. I'm going to press the arms towards the thighs, a little back behind the line of your body, and float your heels up away from the floor. You're going to hold, and then lower the heels and lift the arms. Now this exercise comes from actually the abs pulling up to lift the heels rather than just popping the heels off the mat. So we're going to press the arms to find your balance, pull the abs up, put your head on the ceiling, hold, and then lower your heels and lift the arms. Now it's called breathing, so let's add the breath in on this one. So as you press the arms, you're going to inhale and lift. Hold the breath, so you have to balance. Exhale to lower. And let's do that again. That's easy. It's easier to do without talking, actually. So, press the arms. Inhale, lift. Exhale to lower. One more. Press the arms. Put your head on the ceiling. Inhale. Feel like you're leaning a little into the wind. And exhale to lower. You can open the arms out to the side and you keep that beautiful long spine, that beautiful open hips. Keep that for the rest of the day and you bring that back into the session next time. Thank you for working so well. I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Bye-bye.